Folks, breaking news across the country. The homes of Diddy in Los Angeles and Miami have been raided by the Department of Homeland Security. About an hour ago, the news broke with regards to this raid. This right here is video from Fox 11 of their helicopter showing Diddy's home in Holmby Hills. You will see a number of people, including his sons, Christian and Justin, being led out of the home in handcuffs. You see Department of Homeland Security officers dressed in full gear, dressed with their submachine guns, conducting this raid on the home of Diddy in Los Angeles. Different reports say Diddy was at his home on Star Island in Miami. As you see, occupants of the house, you see right there, they were being placed on the ground in handcuffs. And again, two of Diddy's sons were also handcuffed. No idea as to what was the purpose of the raid. Joining us right now is attorney Monique Presley. Monique, first and foremost, walk folks through, in order to conduct this type of a raid, they have to get a warrant from a judge.
Yes, they would have to have a warrant in order to conduct this type of raid. Certainly, they would have to make a showing of probable cause in order to be able to do the raid. That doesn't mean that arrests were attendant to it. It just means that they laid out a particular bill or set of circumstances and facts which led a judge to believe it was more likely than not that they would be able to find the evidence that they were seeking in one of those properties, or at least there was justification for looking for the evidence that they were seeking in those properties.
But now, we know about the lawsuit that Cassie filed against him, a number of significant charges that were leveled in that civil lawsuit. Was filed on a Thursday, was settled the very next day. She talked about being physically beaten, talked about sexual assault. There have been other lawsuits as well filed against Diddy in New York State by a number of people. And so he is facing a significant legal onslaught.
He is, but we have no way of knowing if any of those things that you just named are connected to this at all. The only statement that's been released by the government officials who conducted the raid is that the searches, the raids, were part of an ongoing investigation. We don't know what kind of investigation, and to that point, many of the news stories are colliding, the smashing together the statement from the government officials and the fact that there are ongoing sexual allegations or sexual assault allegations or different types of other allegations against Mr. Combs. But that's not the statement that was made by the government. The government just said an ongoing investigation and did not say what kind. So to assume that because it was Combs security, to assume that it was because they're investigators, they often assist United States attorneys' offices and other offices in making investigations, particularly where it's large properties, such as in this case. There shouldn't necessarily be any conclusions drawn, and I do believe that in a short period of time, more information will be known. This
is the actual statement. Go to my iPad. Earlier today, Homeland Security Investigations, HSI New York, executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation with assistance from HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and our local law enforcement partners. We will provide further information as it becomes available. That was from the Department of Homeland Security. First of all, what do you read in terms of the fact that this comes out, this was executed by Homeland Security in New York?
I can't read anything into it, Roland. Well, I could read lots of things into it, but
I'm sorry. So here's what I mean. So obviously, if Homeland Security in New York executed this, that means there's an investigation out of New York City as it relates to Diddy, and they sought assistance from Homeland Security in Miami and Los Angeles.
It means that there is an ongoing investigation there. It doesn't mean that it's the only one.
Right.
And it doesn't say anything about the subject matter of the investigation. And I just want to be clear for people who may not have an understanding of what Homeland Security does, and all they're doing is turning on the news and seeing Homeland Security specializes in sex trafficking investigation. Listen, the Department of Homeland Security works to improve security in the United States. Their work includes customs, border, immigration enforcement, emergency response to natural and man-made disasters, anti-terrorism work, cybersecurity, among others. So they could be the enforcement arm that was used for the raid, or it could be because of some of the things that other reporters and opiners are jumping to conclusions and saying. I'm just saying we really need to baby step it and listen to what they are saying and not make assumptions that they aren't saying.
According to go to my iPad, this is the Miami Herald. They are reporting that 2 of his homes in Miami were raided. He owns 2 homes on Star Island. Is 1 Star Island, 2 Star Island. They're next door to each other. They are reporting that federal agents raided both of those particular homes. And again, what they say here, while it's unclear why Homeland Security is investigating, the raid came weeks after a lawsuit alleged that Diddy was a leader of a criminal enterprise that could qualify as a, quote, widespread and dangerous criminal sex trafficking organization. That goes to your point. That was a civil lawsuit that was filed against Diddy. And so folks are putting those 2 together going, oh, lawsuit filed a few weeks ago alleging sex trafficking. Homeland Security now conducts the raid. They must be associated when we don't actually know that at all.
Right. And it's much more likely, actually, that an ongoing investigation has been ongoing perhaps as early as the lawsuit that was filed and then resolved by Cassie. So law enforcement works at their own pace. They intentionally work in secret until they can do so no longer. People also shouldn't make any assumptions of the fact that people were led out of the homes in handcuffs. That is because the raids, when it is a raid, it is of a surprise nature, and they have no idea what they're coming in contact with. And often the restraining of individuals, whether it's staff or whether it's family members or whether it's the owner occupier, many times they restrain them in order for everything to be handled safely. It doesn't mean that there were warrants involving any individuals. It doesn't mean that any individuals were found with things that they shouldn't have or found with weapons. It is part of the protocol and the procedure when something like this takes place.
All right. Monique Presley, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, bye-bye.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media and investment. This next generation social app has already raised $10 million and has just opened a new round to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limit.
Yesterday, I told y'all how I'm sick and tired of these black-owned media outlets that don't even do basic journalism. All folk doing is just rewriting whatever the hell they see in white media. So, yeah, TMZ reported yesterday that Diddy had sold Revolt to an undisclosed buyer. Now, I talked to 4 sources. The deal has not been closed. It has not been sold yet. Okay? I've known this for a month. But all these folks, all these blogs, Essence wrote a story about the whole Diddy investigation, didn't call nobody, just pulled from Fox 11, called from CNBC. And I'm like, what are we doing? Why are we putting a stamp of approval on this nonsense? So go to my iPad. And I got to call out Black Enterprise today. So Black Enterprise dropped this story yesterday, y'all. And I'm sorry. This is bullshit. This is the tweet. Diddy may be down bad, but he did secure his bag. That's the tweet. Now check this out. You click the story, y'all. You go to the story, and it goes to, when you go to the story here, this is what the story says. Sean Diddy Combs is no longer an owner at Revolt TV after selling off his shares to an anonymous buyer for an undisclosed amount. Now, you read the story, and they got all this sort of stuff in here. Sources say Combs sold his Revolt TV shares to an interested buyer, but made sure that the company remains black-owned, TMZ reports. You read this story, it ain't nothing but a whole rewrite of the TMZ story. Y'all, this is black enterprise. This is supposed to be the black business Bible. Amid news of the Revolt sale, it's being speculated if Combs knew a federal raid was on the way, but how you report, who is the reporter on here? Somebody named Jocelyn Jovan. Okay. So we got speculation in the story. When I read this story, y'all, and I read it last night, there literally was nothing that was fact checked. Nowhere in this article, not one, like, y'all, look at nowhere in this article did it say Black Enterprise reach out to Revolt to confirm or deny the story. Nowhere in the article. Nowhere in the article did it say Black Enterprise reached out to Sean Diddy Combs. Nowhere. We just slap our name on a story and rewrite what TMZ said. You put in a story speculation. No. Y'all, I was the managing editor of the Dallas Weekly, the Houston Defender, the Chicago Defender, the news editor at Savoy Magazine, was the top editor at blackamericaweb.com. And let me be real clear. If any reporter or intern sent this story to me, my response would be, your ass got one shot to fix it or you're fired. You're gone. See, the reason this bothers me is because what we now have in black-owned media is a focus on aggregation. So what we do is we see what somebody else report, then we rewrite it, put our name on it, and then when black folks sit around, they say, did you read Black Enterprise? Did you read Essence? Did you read this? Did you read Hollywood Unlocked? Did you read The Shade Room? Did you read Ball Alert? Did you read this here? And so we just spin it and repeat what somebody else wrote. It ain't true. The Breakfast Club this morning, they read the story and they said it had been sold. Factually, it hasn't. How do you not check? And I get it if you're on radio and you're reading the story, but how are you this is the black business Bible. How do you rewrite a TMZ story? Let me tell you what happens at ESPN. When somebody else breaks a story, they'll have their reporters call, write the story, and then they'll put in the article at the bottom, which is also BS. This was originally reported by The Athletic, or this was originally reported by so-and-so. The reason this is a problem for me, I am a journalist. I'm not a media personality. And when black people see stories like this, what happens is black people then go, oh, that must be the case. I told y'all what happened when the same thing happened on the Newsweek story about Biden cutting. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you how this whole thing works. Go to my iPad. Newsweek and Biden and HBCUs. What's the first story that comes up? Boom. HBCU funding falls from $45 billion to $2 billion under latest Biden spending plan. Y'all, the story was a lie. The story was an absolute lie. HBCUs were looking forward to $45 billion in funding. They may be faced with just under $2 billion, the Associated Press reported. So Newsweek rewrote the Associated Press story. The $3.5 trillion bill was set to include $45 billion for HBCUs. Operative word here, y'all. And other minority-serving institutions. Y'all see that? HBCUs were never going to get $45 billion. When he ran, he announced $45 billion HBCUs and Hispanic-serving institutions. Those are the facts. The initial $45 billion was when the Build Back Better plan was $10 billion, not $3.5 trillion. See, here's what I'm trying to explain to y'all. When we read stories and don't fact check, and then when we black-owned media come right behind them and then rewrite what they wrote, we're feeding a lie to black people, and black people then go, oh, I saw it in Blavity, I saw it in Essence, I saw it in The Root, I saw it in Black Enterprise, I saw it on The Source. Well, they had to check, so it must be right. We got to do better. And stop putting your bylines on stories you didn't even report. Do y'all know what used to happen in media? I'm going to go to my panel next. You know what used to happen in media? When they would rewrite a story, this is what they would do. They would go, we would go Defender news staff. Because when you put your byline on a story, it means you actually reported the story. You don't put your byline on some shit you rewrote. You don't slap your byline. I criticized the Essence person yesterday. I'm criticizing the person with Black Enterprise today. I saw the same thing by The Source put out a story. Same thing on the whole Diddy deal. You know, and I'm going to pull up right now. Did they do the same thing? Oh, well, at least The Source got it right. At least The Source rewrote the TMZ story, go to my iPad, and put Source staff. But you don't put your name on nothing that you didn't report on. This is a problem, and I told y'all one of the problems that we do not have, because we're not getting the advertising money, we don't have the resources to have top-notch reporters or enough editors or whatever, but I need black-owned media to do better. And I need black-owned media to at least pick the damn phone up and at least attempt to fact-check something before just running with it. Rebecca.
You know, Roland, all of our institutions are under attack right now. And so when we look at misinformation is when information is misleading or inaccurate. So oftentimes in social media, we'll see, oh, this famous celebrity passed away. And it turns out they didn't do that. But that's an example of misinformation. But then we get into something that's a little bit more malicious, and that's disinformation. Disinformation occurs when there is an intentionally falsehoods that are planted out there, sometimes covertly, so that the audience that's intended to go run with that rumor, they are not even aware that they're being specifically targeted. And so what we're seeing right now with certain Black media, just rubber stamping information that they're getting off the wire or that they're reading from elsewhere, if you don't verify it, it's misinformation. But what's going to happen as we go into the fall elections, this is just a test case for then what disinformation is going to look like when people are just pulling down unsubstantiated reports that they also don't have the budget to actually substantiate, and they're rubber stamping it out. And now Black voters going into the fall election is going to assume, because Black Enterprise, because of Blavity, because of the Griot, because of the Breakfast Club is putting out information, therefore it must be accurate. But guess what? Going into this fall, a lot of information that you're going to see from a variety of sources that you normally would just assume has accurate reporting, it's not going to be true. And that's the thing that I'm fearful about.
Listen, Robert, this real basic. Go back to my iPad. I want y'all to read what The Source wrote. I ain't letting them off the hook. They wrote, now get this, sources in the know about the purported deal say the embattled mogul sold off all his shares to a mystery buyer for a sum that has not been disclosed. Now, the word is the company in itself, quote, remains black owned, which is supposed to be aligned with, as TMZ puts it, upholding, quote, its original connection and dedication to furthering the culture. It's still hazy as to what Revolt was let go for regarding the sale, but one thing is clear, the new owner is keeping a low profile for now, and for good reason. There's a lot of heat around the Sean Combs with Monday's raid by the feds, so now may not be the best time to announce a business deal of that magnitude for one of Diddy's brands. Now, sources say that the owners share a passion for black culture, which is a broad statement, but they intend to introduce themselves formally in the coming weeks. Everything that you just read right there is complete, utter bullshit. And you know what they're doing? Now go back to it. They are simply repeating what they saw in TMZ, but they trying to make it sound like they have the sources. Let me be clear with all y'all who watching. I talk to 4 people who are actually in the know. The sale has not been completed. I've known about the sale for more than a month, and there is a real deal. The source goes the owner or the owners. It's not owners. I know who the person is. But when you write this, oh, they maybe want to keep a low profile. Bullshit. Then, if one clear, oh, you know, it's all, you know, the whole day, which is a broad state. You're feeding bullshit to black people, and then they go, well, I read the source, and they said this. It's a lie. I read Black Enterprise, and all they did was rewrite what TMZ said, which ain't true. This is dangerous. When Rebecca said, you now do this, and you apply it to other areas, and we've seen it. And this ain't about trying to take somebody down, but Black Enterprise rewrote a Washington Free Beacon story about the Biden administration handing out crack pipes. And I sent them an email and said, do y'all know y'all were rewriting a story from a conservative newspaper that was a lie? They never responded, but it was the same bullshit, Robert.
Look, Roland, 2 points. And the first is just an editorial point. Why is it when they were trying to appeal to black audiences, they just take what white people wrote and then rewrite it in slave dialect? Why do they think that is something that appeals to black audiences? Why do you have to write these things, like they're straight off the Step and Fetch It comedy tour? Well, I had heard that they be about to tell some people that we gonna go down here, we gonna get this bag. You don't have to write like that for black people to understand you. And I think that that's the part of the place where we get to this disservice of black media, because if you think that you have to dumb yourself down to the point that we can't understand, complex words and prepositions and grammar and commas and stuff, well, you're already starting from a point of disrespecting your audience when you think that's how you have to write. And look, to Rebecca's point, this isn't going to start. This has started. Look, Roland, when we first found out about me running for judge, me and you found out at the same time, because there was an article on the front page of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution saying that I was running before I had even announced that I was running, before I had even decided I was running. And that from there, we saw other outlets secondhand pick up that article and pick up that information, and they started casting me in all sorts of aspersions to the point Megyn Kelly is sending out tweets.
Oh, yeah. Sheila, this liberal who worked with Reverend Jackson and Robert, when I saw it, what did I do?
You tweeted about it. You called him out.
No. Before I called him out,
you reached out to me.
I called you.
Yes.
The first thing I did, and here's the deal: if I did not know you personally, I would have went, okay, who is this Robert dude? Let me see if he has a website. He follows me on Twitter. Send him a DM. Oh, I'm gonna send him a DM on Instagram. Oh, let me see if he has a LinkedIn profile. Let me see if he has a website. Okay, hold up. Oh, he's a lawyer in Atlanta? Oh, hold up. The story says that he used to work for Rainbow Push. Boom. Let me call Reverend Jackson. Let me call John Mitchell. Let me call Shelley Davis. That's what fucking reporters do. They make calls before they report stuff and before they tweet it.
And before any of that happened, before my phone rang, even one time of any reporter except for you, I had outlets reporting on it in the United Kingdom, New Zealand, Central America, all across the globe. Because as Mark Twain said, a lie goes around the world before the truth puts on its pants. We know that because Mark Twain never actually said that. That's just something that was attributed to him. So when we talk about this level of lazy journalism that we have now, we have journalists that just assume people are only going to read the headline. No one's going to look into it any deeper, and that their words will just be part of a 12-hour, not even a 24-hour news cycle. And that's why they put absolutely no effort into reporting actual media, reporting actual journalism, and actually reporting a story. They pick what the narrative is first, and then they find a story to fit it, as opposed to taking the facts as they are and just reporting to the public.
And Scott, here's the deal. And again, I need everybody watching to understand that y'all watch this show. I called out NBC News when they did it. I remember when a Root did it. So this ain't, oh man, you picking on Black Enterprise. But I'm going to tell you, when they ran that crack pipe story, and I just checked, now mind you, nobody responded. I ain't even going to name who I emailed, but I emailed the top people. But this was literally the email that I sent. Gents, y'all really should take this story down. It's awful because it was rewritten from the right-wing website, the Free Beacon. The GOP, come on, y'all, go to my iPad. Thank you. The GOP has spread this nonsense all day. Me personally, I would never write anything based on the, quote, reporting from that right-wing rag. The headline was called Biden administration to fund the distribution of crack pipes and syringes to promote racial equity. By rewriting it under the BE, you're essentially spreading the right-wing misinformation. Here is Reese Colbert breaking down the program. Look at hashtag crack pipes on Twitter to see how it is being spread by the right wing. Just letting y'all know. Now, here's the whole deal. I sent that because my whole deal was like, y'all, what we doing? Like, and y'all had somebody, which means some little person who did no research, didn't check the source, Scott, just rewrote it. You put it up on blackenterprise.com, which means, did it go through an editor? Did it go through any fact-checking procedure? And now somebody sees it and goes, well, Black Enterprise wrote it, so they must have fact-checked it. It shouldn't take me to call them out. The same story got spread by some other people. And I remember I called News One before. After I left TV One, I called Blavity. I was like, yo, that story y'all got up, that story wrong. Take that shit down. And so, again, for me, the Jasmine brand, and this is just innocent. I was reading a post on the Jasmine brand once, and I saw it, and that was like one or two words that actually threw the story off and it was wrong. And I was like, hey, I want to let y'all know that's not correct. Y'all might want to fix that. I respect news, and I need Black-owned media to give a damn and not fall for the okie doke. Scott, go ahead.
Yeah. You know, lazy lawyering, lazy doctoring, and lazy writers in the media, all very dangerous. The problem with lazy writers in the media is that it goes worldwide.
Boom!
It makes it even more dangerous. So I agree with you. But here's a question, Roland. So I get the lazy part, right? Nobody's going to argue with you about that. I guess for me, and I don't know, in journalistic standards of excellence, or just basic journalistic standards, if I cite a source for my article and I'm repeating what TMZ or the Washington Post said, and I'm rewriting it and giving them credit, aren't I minimally okay with that? Haven't I met the minimum standard or no?
Right. That's what happens is that happens. You credit the source. The Atlanta Journal
happens all the time.
Right. You credit the source. But here's how I operate. If you Black and it's a Black story, so when I criticized Essence yesterday, they quoted Fox 11 LA, and then they said a source told CNBC that the raid was tied to a sex trafficking deal. Now, as an editor, the moment I see that story, I go, I'm sorry. One, we as an organization, media organization, we don't run any story without two sources. That's first. Two, you have in your story a source from CNBC. You don't know nobody at CNBC. You don't know who that source is. So when I'm sitting there telling y'all, I talked to 4 sources. I know their involvement in the sale of Revolt. So when I come on and say, I got 4 sources, your ass can damn well take to the bank that my folk are real, are significant. Now, a lot of times, a source, let me explain the journalism lingo, someone familiar with the thinking of. That means they ain't close to the source. A family member of. See, there's all kinds of different phrases that we use that sort of give you a sense of how close they are to the source. So when you're writing a story, you can say, this is how you do it. TMZ is reporting that Revolt has been sold, blah, 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 blah. Black Enterprise reached out to Revolt, called and emailed, and by press time, we did not get a call back. What that says is we made an effort to try to confirm TMZ's reporting. Black Enterprise, that Essence, and everything, they ain't tried none of that. In the Essence story, where they talked about quoted CNBC and Fox 11, they never said Essence.com reached out to Diddy, his lawyers, and his press person to get a comment. So in their article, they quoted CNBC quoting Cassie's lawyer, but not quoting anybody on Diddy's side. That's a failure of journalism. All I'm saying is pick up the phone, call somebody, email somebody, DM somebody, make an attempt. But when you make no attempt, then you just rewriting somebody's stuff and slapping your name on it. And I'm sorry, that don't pass muster. And I'm telling you, in newsrooms that I run, you will get fired.
No, I got you. The other thing that they do is they will say, mainstream media will say, TMZ is reporting X, Y, and Z. NBC has not been able to independently confirm this.
Hold up.
Right?
Michael Jackson dies. I'm in Jamaica.
Right.
I'm the resort I'm at as a sports complex. I'm walking across the street. Roland, it's so sad about Michael. Say what? Dude is in the car. Say what? Michael Jackson's dead. We used to them killing some celebrity. I was like, man, Michael Jackson ain't dead. No, Michael's dead. Now I'm on the resort. I'm hearing Michael Jackson music. Roland, the journalists go. I go back to my villa. Marlon, how you doing? I say, man, I'm in Jamaica. Roland, hold on. Say something to his daughter. My brother's gone.
Oh, shit, yeah.
I go, Marlon, when you say your brother's gone, my mom called me, my brother's dead. With my other phone, this is my personal phone, pick it up, I'm emailing CNN. I have confirmed from Marlon Jackson. Now, mind you, CNN is on air. Wolf Blitzer is giving TMZ credit. CNN has not independently confirmed from anybody that Michael Jackson is dead. My email to CNN was the first confirmation by anybody at CNN outside of TMZ. That's called reporting. And that's the problem. I'm simply saying to black-owned media, make an attempt to call. Respect the black audience enough that you don't just repeat what you hear. And I don't give a damn if it's the New York Times. If it's a story involving black people, and I see that story, and it's the Times, boom. Yeah. Say, bro, I'm seeing this. And that's what I'm saying. So what ends up happening, Scott, we then are spreading what they report and didn't even attempt. And I'm telling you, I know for a fact, the sale of Revolt is not final. So all these people are reporting everywhere. Revolt sold. Diddy got a bag, sold. It's not true. The sale could actually fall through between now, and I've already been told when it's going to get announced, it could actually fall through. So what then happens if it does fall through? Everybody said the deal was done. That's why you call. Go ahead, final point.
Well, I think you're talking about excellence, right?
No,
And I
I'm
don't
talking
think
about
all-
I'm talking about journalism 101, not journalism 401, not journalism 401, not journalism 301, not 201. It's 101. You were taught.
You know, the real.
You're taught to call. It's,
You know, but the real.
if a story came out, if somebody said, Roland, Scott Bolden got arrested. No. Seriously. No, wait, hold up. I'm going to use a real example. The judge held Scott in contempt, hold Scott Bolden in contempt. What's the first thing I did? Scott, if you didn't pick up, you know what I would have done?
Right.
Emailed you.
Yes.
If you didn't respond in 5 minutes, I would have called the firm and asked for your secretary. See, that's what you're supposed to do. You don't just go, hey, Scott got arrested. Scott going to jail. Scott got held in contempt. And then you go, no, Roland, I wasn't held in contempt. The judge is threatening to hold me in contempt. So being held in contempt and threatening to hold in contempt are two totally different things. That's all I'm saying to black-owned media. Damn, use the phone. Call somebody.
Yeah, but you know, when black-owned media is lazy like that, it perpetuates white privilege's view of black people and their product, if you will, and that somehow it's almost acceptable to have a non-excellent or below standard product that's acceptable to black people, so it's not reliable, if you will. Somebody white looking at it and saying, well, that's from a black publication, so we can't really rely on it because their white privilege kicks in. To me, that's another danger if you're not practicing excellent journalism. So, I mean, nobody's going to disagree with you about this. I just wish we
No.
I agree.
No. There are people who have disagreed with me. Man, why you making a big deal out of this?
About what?
But because I dared say, because I've called people out. I'm just going to leave this one to y'all. But I'm going to give you an example that's not black-owned media. Y'all three going to love this one. So remember when President Obama had the news conference and he was asked the question regarding the arrest of Skip Gates? And remember he said that the cops acted stupidly after arresting him, after ascertaining that he actually owned the house. Remember that? That's actually what he said. Sean Hannity, Fox News, and the right. Obama called cops stupid. No, he said they acted stupidly after learning he owned the house and still arresting him. That's actually what he said. So I'm on CNN, and we're in the air, and we're discussing it. And so I'd already found out what happened at the meeting that morning. What happened so in the White House, there are two meetings. There's a 7 o'clock meeting, and there's an 8 o'clock meeting. The 7 o'clock meeting is the real meeting. Okay? There's more people in the 8 o'clock meeting, but the 7 is the real meeting. So,
Right.
So we're on the air, and Candy Crowley, great respect for Candy Crowley. Candy Crowley goes, well, my understanding from the, that the White House would really prefer to walk that back. I went, no, they're not. They all turned to me. I said, my understanding is Obama is very clear as to what he said. Well, Roland, I've talked to my sources in the White House. And I went, I ain't lying. I'll never forget.
Me too.
I went, I got sources too. And I can tell you. Now, here was the reality. The reality was, in a 7 o'clock meeting, the white boys came in, were like, yeah, we got to walk this back. The black folks like, bullshit. No, we not. And a black staffer, I ain't gonna name him, said, outside this building, I left the office yesterday, and I'm a senior staffer in this White House, and I couldn't flag down a cab, and they passed me by. The whole room went silent. So when the white advisors, when they all went into the Oval Office, Obama made it clear he wasn't walking back nothing. I know who I got the story from. And I was like, I got sources too. So at CNN was kind of like, well, that's Candy Crowley. I don't give a damn, that's Candy Crowley. Shit, I know people too. But what happens is, in those, it's sort of like they like to defer to the last. I just remember, I remember, and again, I love Candy, but the bottom line is, I know people too. Y'all may remember that was a General James Jones. He had friction with Robert Gates. And I remember I made some comment and it was like, well, General Jones is very well liked. I was like, yeah, he ain't gonna be that long though. I said, he ain't gonna be that long. And it was sort of like, the response to me was sort of like, what do you know? I said, okay, we gonna see who go first. Why don't y'all Google General James Jones and see when he resigned? And then Google Robert Gates to see when he resigned. Jones left first. This is an example, even when you're in white media, why you gotta have your own sources close to the action, because there were numerous times, even at CNN, where I had stuff and the other people didn't have, and I don't want to hold y'all. I gotta, but Scott, you'll give me.
Man, we way late.
No, bro, Scott, you'll be all right. I'm just gonna give y'all. I'm gonna give y'all this deck because
I got one thing.
Because Rebecca, I'm gonna give this. They wouldn't let me put this in my book. CNN said no. Rebecca, we're gonna close on you, but they wouldn't let me put this in my book. The night of the Iowa caucus, when Obama won. So I didn't get on the air for 3.5 hours. So we off air, and somebody on the air, and they saying, we don't know where Obama is tonight in Des Moines. I was like, he had dinner. And then I said, then when he wins, they go, we're not sure when Obama is coming to the convention center. He leaving dinner in 20 minutes. And they come to me and they're like, oh my God, what are you getting this from? I said, from the person sitting next to him at dinner. And then it was, and so then I was getting all this information all night, and they were just like, oh my God. And I said, well, if y'all put my ass on the air, the audience will be getting this information as well, but y'all got me sitting on the sideline. This is what they also do to us. So all I'm saying to our black folk, I need us to learn how to pick the phone up, develop sources. So when stuff happens, you can speak authoritatively and you can be the one breaking news and giving facts and not relying on white media. Rebecca, close us out.
And I just want to make it clear and being careful that we're not calling Black journalists lazy, because I know that was a comment that was made earlier. That's not the issue here. The issue is don't fall for clout culture, but actually do your due diligence the way you learned in J school. The ethics that you learn in journalism school, more than any other time, we need you all to step up and to adhere to those standards.
Well, I am calling you lazy if you don't pick the phone up to get attribution or to get the right information. And what you do is you write a story and you slap your name on it as if you actually reported the story. And I'm calling whoever edited the story lazy if they actually approve that story, because both individuals, the reporter and the editor or editors, failed journalism 101. I will say that. Robert, Rebecca, Scott, always a pleasure. Scott, you know you're wrong when it comes to the stadium, but nice effort. Nice effort. Rebecca owns you on that one. Nice effort.
You people.
Rebecca
don't understand.
Rebecca owns you on that one, but I know you got to protect your chamber of commerce. You got to protect your chamber of commerce position. But we spoke truth. All right.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media and investment. This next generation social app has already raised $10 million and has just opened a new round to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits. Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media and investment. This next generation social app has already raised $10 million and has just opened a new round to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
As bad as Trump was, his economy was worse, and Black America felt it the most. He cut health insurance while giving tax breaks to the wealthy and big business. As president, I put money in pockets and capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. There's a lot more to
To Bill Maher saying stupid stuff when it comes to race, and this just continues. So this is the ridiculous stuff this clearly aggrieved white man said on Friday.
Democrats lose elections. When Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi put on kente cloth, I don't think it earned them one vote for their powerful emotional ties to Ghana. Here in California, we're now segregating kidnapping. Really. California doesn't just have Amber Alerts for missing children. We have Ebony Alerts for black children and Feather Alerts for Native American kids. What is that? We look for them by listening on the ground? Look, even if you like identity politics, this kind of thing is antiquated. From 2010 to 2020, the number of people identifying as multiracial in America went up 276%. 1 in 5 newlyweds now are in an interracial marriage, and that number goes up to 100% in ads for Subaru. You couldn't do a remake of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner today because almost 100% of Americans approve of interracial marriage, especially with rich in-laws. And 95% of white women would leave their husband to marry Idris Elba. Idris Elba, who says, as humans, we are obsessed with race, and that obsession can really hinder people's aspirations. Actress Raven-Symoné agrees. She told Oprah, I'm tired of being labeled. I'm not an African American. I'm an American. She says, I don't know what country in Africa I'm from. My roots are in Louisiana. And you don't have to agree with that. But it's a point of view a lot of people have. It should be respected. Morgan Freeman says the way to finish off racism is stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man, and I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. There's even a movement now to ban racial questions on the census, and many of its leaders are people of color, like Professor Sheena Mason, who says to undo racism, we have to undo our belief in race. The liberal group MoveOn.org, formed in 1998 to urge Republicans to move on from the Clinton impeachment. Today's Democrats should move on from identity politics. It's not working. It's not working for them or for us. Democrats are hemorrhaging the very voters they think they're pandering to. The Financial Times writes, Democrats are going backwards faster with voters of color than any other demographic, and suggests the reason is that a less racially divided America is an America where people vote more based on their beliefs than their identity. Exactly. Far-left liberals are living in an old paradigm. Americans don't fit into neat little boxes anymore. Who has the #1 country song right now? Beyonce. Lil Nas X won a country music award, and he's black and gay. And a brand ambassador for the waspiest purse in America, Coach. The biggest news star in country is Jelly Roll, who was a drug dealer, then a prisoner, then a rapper, and then a face-tatted country music star. Not to mention a giant middle finger to the idea of staying in your own lane. No. In America now, you're allowed to be many things all at once, and that's a good thing, even when it's really stupid. Look, we're all Jelly Roll now. You're sloppy, complicated, and contradictory. 2/3 of Republican voters support weed legalization. And 41% of Democrats own or live with someone who owns a gun. Miss Marvel is Pakistani, and the winner of the last 2 NBA dunk contests is white. The new Captain America is black, and Spider-Man is black and Puerto Rican, just like AI George Washington. Latinos make up half of the Border Patrol, and the name of the coolest black dude on the planet is Lenny Kravitz. RuPaul has a ranch in Wyoming that does fracking. Really? And has a fortified compound with a bunker to die for. And somehow the leader of the Village People was straight. Really? He just went to the YMCA to work out. The leader of the Proud Boys isn't an old white guy. He's Enrique Tarrio, an Afro-Cuban. He burns crosses on his own lawn. Caitlyn Jenner is a pro-Trump trans woman who supports a ban on trans athletes competing in women's sports. And there's even an LGBTQ organization called Gays for Trump. And why wouldn't there be? Gays love drag queens. Our black president was half white, and our black vice president is half Asian, and Tiger Woods is, oh, we don't even have the time. My point is, look, you're still building your politics around slicing and dicing people into these fixed categories. Democrats need to get the memo that you can't win elections anymore by automatically assuming you're going to get every voter who's not these guys. The more you obsess over identity, the more you ignore the bread and butter issues that win and lose elections. The real issue is class, not race, and the real gap is the diploma divide, and the real future of the party and maybe democracy depends on Democrats figuring that out.
Well, now that we've finished airing that piece of shit, here's the deal that Bill Maher wants to talk about. So he wants to talk about there being the diploma divide. Okay, Bill, do me a favor. Why don't you just have the same conversation that we had about the $13 billion that HBCUs did not get that clearly went to white land-grant institutions? Oh, you and I want to talk about a diploma divide? Oh, by all means, Bill, let's talk about the reality of race in this country when you've got white conservatives right now trying to run a voucher scam in Texas, in Tennessee, in Kentucky, and other states to pull money out of public schools to send that money to largely white suburban communities and say, screw the people who are people of color in these public schools. Oh, you wanted to mock, oh, we now have an Ebony alert. Go to my iPad. That was legislation that was sponsored by then California State Senator Stephen Bradford. Here's what white man Bill Maher does not want to own up to in the press release when it was signed into law September 28, 2023. According to the Black and Missing Foundation, 38% of children reported missing in the United States are black. The U.S. population is 14%. Black women and girls are at increased risk of being harmed and trafficked. A recent report on human trafficking incidents across the country found that 40% of sex trafficking victims were identified as black women. Do you know why there's an ebony alert, Bill Maher? Because, see, you're a white man. So if your mama or your sister or your cousin came up missing, it's a good bet it's going to be covered by national media. Oh, my goodness. When a white woman comes up missing, we send federal authorities, state authorities, local authorities to find that white woman. The New York Post, the New York Times, television and radio are all going, man, find that white woman. Yet when black women come up missing, black people have to protest, yell, and scream to make it happen. There's a reason why, Bill, we have this segment on this show. See, Bill, you don't care about Aaron Hope, who has been missing from his South Bend, Indiana home since January 22nd. He's 16 years old, 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighs 140 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Anybody with information regarding Aaron Hope should call the South Bend Police Department at 574-235-9201, 574-235-9201. See, we do that every single day, Bill. You know why? Because white media does it. It does it. I can guarantee you, Bill Maher, you can name off the top of your head at least 5 prominent white women who came up missing where their story was plastered all around the country. Bill, can you name me one black woman? I mean, you have an affinity for black women, so I would think you could name one black woman who's been missing. Since you care about black women, probably only in the bedroom. See, here's the reality. You are a white man, Bill Maher, and you yourself are the epitome of identity politics. Yes, you. First of all, anybody who knows politics knows all politics is about is identity politics. NASCAR dads, they ain't black. Soccer moms, they ain't black. We know the game. And for Bill Maher, clearly somebody who has no sense of knowledge, to think that identity politics only is on Democratic side means you've been asleep for the past 60 years? What the hell do you think the Southern strategy was all about? What do you think Trump's initial speech coming down the escalator was all about? What do you think the attack on CRT and DEI and affirmative action bill is all about? See, Bill, since you want to talk about how, oh no, it's the bread and butter issue. Okay, well then tell me why 2% of all venture capital goes to black people. 2%. Please tell me, Bill, why the federal government spends some $600 billion on contracts and 1.67% goes to black people. Is it that we don't own businesses? Is that we are not smart? Please, by all means, Bill, since you care about black women only in the bedroom, please share with us in your infinite wisdom why black women maternal health is more dire than that of white women, even, Bill, when you are a rich black woman like Serena Williams. Oh, but then the white savior, Bill Maher, wants to parade the exceptional Negro. Look at this. Beyonce, a black woman, has a #1 song country charts in America. But I noticed, Bill, how you skipped over the racism that Beyonce encountered in 2016 when she performed at the Country Music Awards. I noticed how you gave no nuance in Beyonce's statement when she alluded to what took place at the Country Music Awards. Were your researchers asleep on that part? Oh, Then you want to mention, oh, this person, that See, this is what white men like Bill Maher do. This is what they do. Look at Thurgood Marshall. Oh, so when Thurgood Marshall became the first black on the Supreme Court, did that somehow eliminate all racism in the criminal justice system? Please tell that to all the black men that have been released from prison since Thurgood Marshall was on the Supreme Court, who were sentenced to death row for crimes they did not commit, Bill. Oh, I'm sorry. See, in your world, that's identity politics. We shouldn't talk about those things, those little pesky things. And so you sat here and you went, oh, on and on and oh, my goodness, Kamala Harris, you said, oh, she's half black or she's half Asian. So are you somehow suggesting that she has not had to endure a significant level of racist attacks? Oh, you mentioned, oh, we had a half president, half black, half white. So we don't want to talk about the double standard that existed between him and Trump? Super white man, half black, half white man. See, you don't want to deal with that. See, guys like you, Bill Maher, you're the white liberals I talked about in my book, White Fear. How the browning of America is making white folks lose their minds. It's white men like you. See, it's white men like you, Bill, who are also threatened. It's white men like you, Bill Maher, who don't want to see your whiteness, who don't want to see your white maleness. See, the reality, Bill, is that when you assign identity politics to only Democrats, you act as if that we are just this wonderful America and things are great, when, Bill, we can go down the line. Health, education, economics, real estate. Oh, you didn't think that racism was there? Oh, see, I guess you missed when I did Patrick Bet David's podcast, when I had to jack him up and I had to break down in the racism in census tracts and appraisals. I'm sorry. Is that identity politics? I mean, are we supposed to talk about that, Bill Maher? Are we supposed to talk about the reality of how black people in this country are getting screwed out of wealth as a result of home appraisals? Oh, I'm sorry, Bill. You call that identity politics, right? So you mean to tell me, Bill, that we shouldn't focus on this here? Should we? Widespread racial bias found in home appraisals. Researchers found evidence of a persistent practice that gives higher values to homes when the occupants are white and devalue them if the owners are people of color. See, when I did Patrick Bet David's podcast, he said, oh, well, those are isolated. Those are Really? Go back. Right here. The appraisals, which were compiled between 2013 and 2021, present evidence of a persistent, widespread practice in the home appraisal industry to give higher values to homes when the occupants are white and devalue them if the owners are people of color. Analyzing the millions of appraisals by using census tracts as a proxy for neighborhoods and comparing communities with nearly identical housing stock, two researchers found that the results showed a clear correlation. The higher the proportion of white residents in each community, the higher the appraised value of individual homes. The researchers restricted their study to neighborhoods in metropolitan areas with at least 500,000 people and at least 50,000 residents of color, and ensured that not only did the houses in the same compared communities look similar, but residents were of the same socioeconomic status, and amenities like parks, grocery stores, and local services such as banks and post offices were on par. But see, in Bill Maher's white man world, that's identity politics. So what then happens, Bill, when black people get screwed out of their home appraisal? That means that you sell your house for $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 less. That means black people now don't have an additional $100,000, $200,000, or $300,000 to invest, to save, to pass on to their children, to pay for their college education, to do other things, to give to various communities. So is that identity politics? Is that it? Is it identity politics, Bill, to showcase how black people literally encounter racism? Bill, I know you love smoking weed, but are you aware that racism initially helped black people when it came to the opioid crisis? Oh, Bill, you weren't aware of that, huh? I guess your largely white research team on your HBO show couldn't find this out. Yeah, white doctors, Bill Maher, white man, would often give black people Tylenol because they thought black people were on heroin, so therefore they would not prescribe black people opioids. So when the opioid crisis hit, it was just wiping out white people, Bill, because they were taking OxyContin and those powerful opioids. So when it started, I literally said, wow, this is the first instance in the history of America where racism helped black people. Few of us were dying from opioid epidemic because the racist white doctors would not prescribe us the pills. But Bill, you call that identity politics. So Bill, here's the deal. October will mark the 10th anniversary when I last appeared on your show. You remember that, right? When I killed it, but then when the show's over, you told the producers that I was on social media, which was bullshit, because I was actually checking my notes, because we were discussing Bill Cosby, and on the way to the show, I had called a rape survivor, Shalai Abrams, and I had called Dr. Jeffrey Gardier to get their perspective on why women come with their story 20 years later. And I knew Bill Cosby was coming up and I wanted to properly quote them. And that night, Bill, I pulled up my notes when your producer told me at the rap party, and I showed them the notes. And I walked up to you and told you, I hear you have a problem, thinking I was on social media. And I showed you the notes. Have been invited back since. But you got your podcast where y'all sit there and when you smoke and drink, first of all, you can drink in front of me, but I don't inhale weed. Bill, I'll be happy to come do your show anytime. I'll be happy to invite you right here. And if you want to have a real conversation about identity politics and the reality of America, bring it. Because all that bullshit you said Friday night was exactly that. Did not pass the smell test. Because you, Bill Maher, are literally in denial. As a white man in America, you are in denial about the reality of what we face in this country every single day. But you get to sit in your largely white enclave on HBO, and you do know what I'm talking about, and sit here and pontificate in a snarky, arrogant ass way when the facts simply do not line up. So take your pick, Bill. Pick the lane. Education, health, economics. And you and I could have a real conversation about the reality of race, of class, in any of those areas. But you know what? You punked out that night 10 years ago. Because when I showed you I wasn't on social media and I showed you the notes, you'd probably punk out on this conversation. Because that's what a lot of arrogant white liberal men do. So yeah, you deserve to be called out for the bullshit that you showed on Friday night. I'm closing the show out. Each one of my panel can comment. So, Derek, you first.
You know, Roland, today's news could not have been a better bookend to what you just articulated. Today's news where Donald Trump, his $454 million bond was reduced to $175 million. He's dealing with a hush money case. But then on the other bookend, Roland, we watched the raid of Sean Diddy Combs. We watched folks getting arrested. We watched the aerial shots, the helicopters and everything. And I'm not trying to rush the judgment on Sean Combs, but the bookend is very clear. If Bill Maher doesn't understand what you just articulated, I mean, his analysis around identity politics was ignorant. And I'm trying to be very polite on the show. It clearly demonstrates those with privilege, those who have a spirit of entitlement, right? They cannot walk, forget a mile in our shoes, they can't walk one block. And they refuse to look through the United States through the lens of a black person. And so for him to say Democrats is around this identity politics, but yet you don't want to talk about Trump selling gold-plated sneakers for $400. You don't want to talk about Trump having 91 felonies. No one in the country of the United States ever had that number of felonies. No black person. If Barack Obama had one felony, he would have been arrested. And I know people tend to say, Roland, I get it. There you go again. Y'all talking about race, but they continue to demonstrate and illustrate why we're so frustrated, because if you're going to talk about these United States, is United States racist or not, today's news is the perfect bookend. You watch Trump continue to attack the courts, the judge, and everybody in the justice system, but meanwhile, you watch a raid. Diddy did not get an opportunity to negotiate for 18 to 19 months of a person that took classified material.
Yep. I mean,
classified material. And so this is the problem that we have with people with like Bill Maher.
Here's my dear Julian. It would be awesome to have a non-race conversation. That would be amazing. It would be amazing, absolutely amazing, to have an education conversation, but you can't talk about HBCUs being cheated out of $13 billion and leave out race. You can't talk about the voucher scam that they're trying to do in Texas and Tennessee and Kentucky and you leave out race. You can't talk about healthcare in America and disparities and you leave out race. You can't talk about economic prosperity in America, housing, venture capital fund, private equity, stocks and bonds, and you leave out race. White men like Bill Maher would love if y'all could just stop. And then, he quotes, Raven-Symoné. He quotes Raven-Symoné. Can we stop? Oh, I'm from Louisiana. No, you're not. Because guess what, Raven? My maternal grandparents are from Louisiana. But their parents and grandparents came from somewhere else. Raven, please, go get a map. It was a thing called the Louisiana Purchase. So the reality is, Louisiana wasn't even from here. See, then Morgan Freeman, if the race thing will go away, if we could just stop talking about it. Let me know how that would work in the home appraisal business, Morgan. Matter of fact, I thought that was laughable, Bill, especially considering Morgan lives right there in Mississippi. One of the racist states in America. Then he shows, who was the other person he showed? Well, there's one woman said that we could take race off the census. Okay.
Roland,
go.
I wish you could show. I wish you could show our faces when we were listening to that fool, because literally about 3 times, like, "Shut up, fool!" Not funny, Bill. Yeah, I mean, he tends to be funny, but that was patronizing. It was ignorant. I will say a couple things. One, Steve Bradford, State Senator Steve Bradford in California, was pressured, actually. I mean, he'd have to be pressured because he's a good dude. But Black women's organizations were looking at the fact that we go missing, nobody gives a bluck.
Nobody. Nobody.
And then Roland, one of the things you didn't say that we should is that when these white girls go missing, half the times they lying. The runaway bride, she just went somewhere. She didn't want to get married, so she ran away.
And guess what? We would have no problem. There would be no need for the Ebony Alert if Black people were included in the Amber Alert.
Hello?
See, since Bill want to sit here, now he pissing me off. Okay?
Well,
because what Bill Maher don't want to deal with, a little Black boy in Louisiana came up missing. And the cops told his mama, he may just be playing at a friend's house. When the white woman and the son came pick that boy up and later found that boy murdered. But the cops were like, we're not going to look for him because he probably out there. They did not take that woman seriously, and her son was found dead.
They never take the missing of Black girls seriously. We always either ran away, we were involved in something illegal. I mean, but like I said, let the least little white girl go missing, and they won't even investigate it. I mean, they'll investigate, they'll look for her, but they won't investigate the story. How did the runaway bride get away with it as long as she did? But in the longest run, Bill Maher is tripping, and we know that he's tripping. And as you said, we can't, if we choose to be myopic, which many white men are, we might be able to have a conversation or two absent race. I guess we would have to talk about food, maybe clouds. I'm trying to think about where we have a conversation that does not include race, because race is part of our life. Race is part of our very existence. And literally everything, I'll tell you a short story about some white people. I came home the other day, so white people standing in my yard. I said, what y'all doing in my yard? Oh, we just looking around. WTF. I asked them to leave. White lady told me, can you prove you own this house? Now, would she have said that? I said, I have a driver's license with my name on it and this address. I said, I also have a phone in my hand. I'm fit to call the popo. And then I called one of my friends because I don't know, you haven't instructed me in how to take a picture while I'm on the phone. Thus, I called a friend of mine. She said, take a picture, hurry up. And I couldn't figure it out. But as soon as she said, take a picture, they ran the you-know-what out of my yard. But would you ask a white person, can you prove you own this home?
Right.
Yeah, it's in our very daily interactions.
Right.
And so we're not race obsessed. We're not racist. We're racial.
Wait a minute. Hold up. And we are realist.
Exactly. And we'd be GD fools if we denied our own experiences.
But also how to fix this issue in Congo. That to me is the thing here. And again, what white men like Bill Maher don't want to deal with, they want to live in this space age. You know what? They want to live in the bottom part of King's I Have a Dream speech. They live in that world. Oh, little black boy, little black girl holding hands, but the rest of us, we live in that part that was the top of the speech.
Yeah, that's real talk. I mean, their whole conversation about identity politics, everything the Republicans have been doing have been based on identity politics. Look at their transgender ban. Look at the Don't Say Gay bill. Look at, the marriage laws. Look at what's happening with women across the country as it relates to who has the right to say who can have children and when, and what they're doing with IVF and everything. That's about against women's identity, right? And their ability to assert themselves. So every single thing that they've been built on has been built on identity politics. And furthermore, if you want to talk about the history of racism, you talk about Obama. Yeah, he's black, but he's half white and this and that. Are you going to mention that and not mention the one drop rule that said if you had one drop of black blood, you are black, no matter what other parentage you had? Like, that's part of the history. That's part of the story. Also, Roland, he's lying about Democrats have been losing because since 2018, they've been winning everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it doesn't make sense with the elections that have been going on. The Republicans keep losing because they are the ones trying to hammer down on identity politics. They're the ones trying to keep us divided, and they are the ones playing this grievance. Maher sounds just like that doctor guy from Tennessee that you played earlier, just more of a comedic version. And so he keeps talking about all these individual things relating to racism. And by the way, Raven-Symoné, go to a Trump rally and say what you just said and see what happens. He keeps talking about this individual, but does not talk about the institutional racism, which you laid out when you laid him out. And so every single day, when we talk about the bigger issues, Bill Maher looks more and more idiotic and more like somebody who has no idea what he's talking about, but is playing off the politics of grievance, and you laid it out better than anybody could.
I'm going to close with this. Since Bill Maher, since you, if we just focus on class, okay, Bill? So, Bill, help me out here, Bill. Bill, I want you to look at this black boy right here. Kawan Bobby Charles, November 3rd, 2020. 15-year-old boy. His friend and his mama, his white friend, 17-year-old Gavin Irvin, and Irvin's mama, Janet, came by his house and picked him up. His family said he was missing. His family called the cops. The cops said, oh, he had a football game. 3 days later, Bill, this was the discovery in a sugarcane field. He had been beaten and tortured. This is how that boy left home. And Bill, this is how his mama had to bury him. And that white woman wasn't immediately arrested. There were no answers from the mama or from the son. Nothing. And Bill, do you know what that white woman was charged with? Contributing to the delinquency of a minor and failure to report a missing child. So, Bill, you tell me this, how a white woman and her 17-year-old white son could pick up a 15-year-old black boy from his house in New Iberia, Louisiana in 2020, and 3 days later, that boy is found dead. And nobody to this day has been charged in this boy's murder. You then talk to me then, Bill Maher, about your bullshit attack on identity politics. I'm also close this since we in Louisiana. There was an election over the weekend, Bill, and a black man named Henry Whitehorn, he ran in a general Well, guess what happened, Bill? The white man he ran against contested the election because Henry won by 1 vote. They forced a runoff. Well, guess what? That brother right there, he won by 5,000 votes. He overcame the BS. And you know what he became? The first black sheriff in Cato Parish. And he's only one of, I think, 2 black sheriffs out of 63 in the entire state. But hey, Bill Maher believes that we just focus too much on identity politics. Must be nice to live the life of a white, unbothered man, Bill Maher.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media and investment. This next generation social app has already raised $10 million and has just opened a new round to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
Also, that was a conversation, and actually it was yesterday, that I was going back and forth on social media. And there was some folks who were talking about, that black-owned media really needs to be, covering this story, needs to be all over it. And I said something to them that I said, actually, what you're describing is very difficult to do. Here's what I mean. People are always saying what black-owned media should and should be doing, but a lot of people don't even understand the nature of the business. The fact of the matter is, you don't necessarily have a lot of top reporters at many of the black-owned media outlets because we're not bringing in the money to be able to hire them. You can run it down, Ebony, Essence, Black Enterprise, Blavity, I can go on and on and on. You don't have significant reporting staff. What you do see out there are people who are writing these stories and they're just aggregating content. And as I keep saying, that the problem with aggregating content is that when you do that, you also then begin to push out false information. So, perfect example. Somebody said to me, well, look at Essence, they did a story. Okay, and this is not to pick on Essence and pick on this particular reporter, but it's a problem. So if you look at the story that was posted on Essence, Sean Diddy Combs' homes raided in connection with federal sex trafficking investigation. Investigators have interviewed numerous accusers in connection with accusations of assault, trafficking, and the distribution and solicitation of narcotics and firearms, sources say. Okay, got it. So when you now read the story, it is by a Revea Ruff, and I don't know who that person is, if they're male or female, but I want to walk y'all through why these type of stories are problematic. So when you go through the story, you see how they're quoting Fox 11 Los Angeles, okay, describing the raid on the home. And then you see them saying that 2 of Combs' sons have been handcuffed. Then they go, it says, handcuffed and detained by authorities during the search, but these reports have not yet been confirmed. Well, why are you reporting it? Then when you go through the story, they're quoting the Homeland Security, saying Homeland Security describing what took place. It says the federal department said in a statement released to news outlets. Okay, well, I don't understand why Essence didn't get a copy of the statement, so they don't have to attribute it to news outlets. And so then when you go through here, it says via CNBC, a source with knowledge of the situation reported that federal authorities have interviewed 3 women and 1 man in New York regarding allegations of sexual assault, sex trafficking. Interviews with 3 more women are forthcoming. Here's a problem with that. That's not your source. So what you're doing as Essence, you're putting a stamp of approval on a source from CNBC who you don't know. You don't actually know if this is true. The point here is, y'all, I'm not defending Diddy. I'm showing y'all the problem when black-owned media takes and aggregates content from other sources that you are not familiar with. So to quote a source from CNBC when typically in media, you want to have two sources that confirm information. The information that I reported to you about the sale of Revolt, I got from 4 sources. 4. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4. So then when you go through this story, you see here again, you see them talking about the Cassie lawsuit, blah, 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 the lawsuit. Then this is the problem for me. You see, they quote the attorney for Cassie. He said in a statement via CNBC. And that's it. Nowhere in this story do you see anywhere where it says so-and-so told Essence. Nowhere in this story do you see Essence call Diddy or reach out to Diddy and his representatives to get comment on the story. Yesterday, when the raid took place, again, we're following the story. What's my first instinct? Call Diddy. 7:32 p.m. Eastern yesterday, this text message, because there are all these reports saying he's flying to Bermuda. Are you in Bermuda or the United States? Any comment on Homeland Security raiding your homes? I'm live on my show. That's journalism. And so the problem that I have is that what we are seeing right now, we are seeing Black-owned media and other folks run with any story, no vetting, no fact checking, no determination if it's true or not. So this is why it is a danger for Black-owned media to aggregate content. What happened to picking the phone up yourself? What happened to calling yourself? We should not be slapping our bylines on stories when all we're doing is rewriting somebody else's work. This is not the first time that I've called out Black-owned media and Black-targeted media for aggregating content. I've called out The Root, NBC News, Blavity, News One, Black Enterprise, and others before. And so what I need people to understand is when you're out talking about what Black-owned media should be covering, you should then be asking, do we have the resources to actually do that? Are we using freelance writers or do we actually have staff writers? And the fact of the matter is, you do not have the reporting chops in most Black-owned media places that you're used to. Urban One is the largest Black-owned media company, the largest. They own 50 plus radio stations. TV One, My Clio, they own Interactive One. And I can tell you right now, very little news, very little reporters. And let me be clear, this is nothing against young journalists, but having somebody young being paid $35,000, $40,000, rewriting articles, that is not reporting. That is not journalism. Black people are not served when this happens. So here's the problem when Essence does this, or The Root, or The Griot, or anybody, is when you rewrite a story and stick your byline on it, you're giving the Black-owned media stamp of approval to everything in the article. So Black folks then read the article and go, oh, gotta be true. And they run with it. If you don't believe me, all you have to do is look at today and look at how many people ran with the story of Revolt being sold. Numerous folks ran with that story. It's not true. So when you do that, so here you go. Hollywood Unlocked. Diddy has reportedly sold Revolt to TV to an anonymous buyer. Network is still Black-owned. And what are they doing? They're quoting TMZ. Stamp of approval. That story, I'm telling y'all, is factually wrong. Same thing. If I go over here to, let's see here. I'm gonna pull up another outlet. I'm checking to see if they ran with this story. Boom, Shade Room. They're quoting Philip Lewis, a journalist, who's quoting TMZ. Same thing. Oh, quoting them. And I get it. The story's wrong. But look at this here. I'm gonna show you. 65,000 likes, 5,883 comments on the story. That's what you see right there. I didn't show you that for Hollywood Unlocked for their story. Let me pull that back up. Their story, 735 comments, 4,378 likes. Okay, so that's their story. So if I go over here to, let me see here. If I go over to, give me 1 second, I'm double checking. Hold on. So, Jasmine Brand, know them well. They post a story, it's the end of an era. According to a report from TMZ, Diddy is no longer associated with Revolt. 6,775 likes. Again, 17 comments on here, okay? Quoting them. All right, I'm gonna do one more. And the reason I'm going through this, because I'm trying to show y'all what happens when stuff is reported and then it's passed on through black-owned media and people see it and they go, oh, it was in the Shade Room. Oh, it was in this. Well, perfect example. Baller Alert, same thing. Headline, Revolt TV has a new owner. Diddy sells all shares. Read more, balleralert.com. It's wrong. All because they're quoting TMZ. TMZ is not always correct. And so black-owned media, pick up the damn phone and call somebody. Actually verify, check something. Not a single person here would like for somebody to do a story reporting erroneous information. And so we've got to understand that black-owned media owes it to black people to not just report anything white media reports. Perfect example, before I go to my panel on this. The Washington Post did a story that essentially said that Tamika Mallory, Carmen Perez, Bob Bland, and Linda Sarsour had been run out of the Women's March. It wasn't the case. They were term limited. They couldn't run again. They didn't get voted out. They didn't resign. They were term limited. But guess what happened? News1.com, Blavity picked the story up. I saw it and I called both of them saying, take that shit down. It's wrong. How can you be a black-owned outlet and you don't try to call Tamika or Carmen or Bob or Linda? I remember the Washington Free Beacon wrote a story about Biden administration handing out crack pipes. It was a BS story. Black Enterprise rewrote it. I emailed the ownership and the editorial leadership of Black Enterprise saying, your story is wrong. Why are you rewriting a BS story from a conservative outlet which was designed to actually cause misinformation? And lastly, and I'm walking y'all through this, when the Associated Press reported that the Biden administration cut funding to HBCUs by $35 billion, Newsweek picked the story up, blew it up on their cover. Black people, activists, and all kinds of different people, and I'll say it, I remember Jamal Bryant, Tamika Mallory, both had posted it on their socials. Hey, take that shit down. It's wrong. I said, they got it wrong. We covered this, so you know what happened? I knew the story. First of all, when Biden was running, he said the amount of money they wanted to give to black and Hispanic serving institutions. I want y'all to understand how misinformation works. So then when AP writes the story and Newsweek writes the story, they say the cuts to HBCU funding. Black folks lost their minds. First of all, he pledged the money to Black and Hispanic serving institutions. Well, guess what? When he introduced the first bill, it was a $10 trillion bill. The full $35 billion was in the bill. Congress then was like, yeah, we ain't spending $10 trillion. So it got cut to $5 trillion. Then it got cut to $3 trillion, then $2.5 trillion, then the $1.5 trillion. Then Manchin and others said that's still too much money. So when they say Biden cut it, no, he proposed it. Congress is like, we ain't passing a $10 trillion bill. I dare any of y'all to Google it right now. You'll see it. So if you initially proposed a bill at $10 trillion, and the Congress says, no, we ain't going for it, and it get cut to $1.5 trillion, that means $8.5 trillion got cut. It stands to reason that the HBCU and Hispanic serving institution money is going to get cut. But guess what happened? The Newsweek story went everywhere. And we spent 3 weeks breaking the story down, showing you why it was factually wrong. This is the mistake that Black-owned media cannot make. We cannot report news. I don't care if it's Diddy. I don't care if it's Jay-Z. I don't care if it's about HBCUs. I don't care if it's about Vice President Kamala Harris. We owe it to Black people. And we owe it to all those Black people that are on my wall in there that started Black-owned media. We owe it to Frederick Douglass and Ida B. Wells Barnett and Robert Abbott and A.I. Scott and Charlotta Bass and John H. Johnson and Chuck Stone and again Ethel Payne and Alice Dunnigan and Louis Martin and Earl Graves and Ed Lewis and on and on and on to get it right for our people. We cannot be repeating what white media says and take it as fact. Because when we do, we're doing a disservice to our people. Go to my panel. I'm gonna start for you first.
Yeah, you know, we just got to be very careful that we create this fertile ground for disinformation and misinformation. Because when we do, you know, we do it to the own detriment of our own people. We know that many folks in the media world focus on the sensationalism. And well, you know, many folks will do anything for likes and retweets and all these other types of things, even sharing information that they know is false or that they haven't verified. So we just have to be very careful, especially in the time we're living in, because there are those individuals who will feed that misinformation so that they continue to deconstruct our communities, both our trust and the set of actions that we need to be able to move forward in a positive direction.
John Quell?
You know, to add to what was just said, you know, it's interesting that with all of the blogs and a lot of the Black-owned media, not only is it just about the likes and the comments, but it's also just about who can get the most followers. And also, you know, just wanting to report the scandalous nature of something. Even if we can get back to reporting what are the actual facts that are going on and not trying to sensationalize or scandalize everything. And furthermore, that goes back to Cardi B, right? Where she had to sue Tasha K, I believe that's her name.
Yep.
And she sued her for defamation.
And won $4 million.
Yeah, and
I think it was $4 million.
And then after that, and then who followed suit behind her was the comedian Kevin Hart. He then sued her. So also, not only do we need to be careful to report facts, right, and to protect our community, right, because media is one of the most powerful tools that exists. It shapes the entire world's perception of us and our community.
It was $3.4 million, not $4 million. Go ahead.
And furthermore, when Black-owned media, when you are calling to get the facts, of our own stories. Don't try to extort the individuals either, because then that precipitated Kevin Hart then suing her because he was given some demands that if he didn't pay a certain amount that this story was going to air. So don't do that either, right?
But all I want, and again, and what I did last night, that I was trying to walk people through, because it was hard for a lot of people to understand it. And also today, I was trying to walk them through the economic reality. I was trying to walk them through what happens economically. I was trying to explain to them when Congressman Eleanor Holmes Orton had the General Accounting Office do a report over a 5-year period. The federal government spent $5 billion on advertising. In that 5-year period, Black-owned media got $51 million of the $5 billion. Let me slow that down. I need everybody to understand. Over 5 years, 2012, 2017, I need everybody to understand. Here's the deal, Kevin. Kevin, $5 billion was spent on advertising by the federal government. Black-owned media got $51 million out of the 5. All Black-owned media combined, as everybody, got $51 million out of the $5 billion. Congresswoman Joyce Beatty came to me and she said, we come out of our CBC meeting, there's nobody in the black press out there. I said, Congresswoman, we can't afford to pay somebody $75,000 to $100,000 to cover Congress. I said, but if $1 billion is spent every year with Black-owned media, and Black-owned media got 10% of that money, that's $100 million. Let's say we got 2% of the 10%. Let's just say 2% of the $100 million. It's $2 million. I've said it. With the recent layoffs of BuzzFeed News, of The Messenger, LA Times, Wall Street Journal, Vice, I could hire a newsroom staff, I need everybody listening, with that $2 million, I could hire a newsroom staff of 10 top-notch reporters that would be the baddest black news staff in America. If just us, if we only got 2 million of the 100 million. In the business, $340 billion was spent last year. Today, in New York, last 2 days, yesterday, today, tomorrow, Magna, major ad agency, they're having their upfronts. It's supposed to be their diversity upfronts. Now, let me explain. We kicked the thing off with a Black-owned collective. Then they went from Black-owned media to diverse-owned media. So now everybody up there presenting. We were told that, oh no, they're not gonna be presentations, it's gonna be these panel conversations. My guys at Urban Edge Network there, it's presentations. Were we invited to present? Nope. We weren't. Who controls the money? The agencies do. 24 years ago, BET was sold, Gavin, for $2.4 billion, the assumption of $400 million in debt, for $2.8 billion. Black-owned media was getting 1% of all ad money in the year 2000. 24 years later, it's 1%. So what I say to black people, if we're gonna be sitting here talking about what black-owned media should be covering, then we need black people saying, let's fight for the money. Let's challenge these companies when it comes to the money. Let's challenge Magna and every single company that they represent to ensure that they are providing funds and advertising dollars to black-owned media. This, Gavin, is why we can't hire staff. It's because we are not getting the resources that white media is getting, and we're making do by rewriting other people's stuff.
Yeah, and Roland, it's really hard to follow what you just laid out and what Mustafa and John Quell added. I want to first thank you, Roland, for clearing all this up through your commitment to journalistic excellence. You had a lawyer on last night when you were breaking down this story. And I was watching this segment, and while a whole host of other news outlets were reporting the salacious rumors and jumping to conclusions about what the raids yesterday may have entailed, you and your guest, were very clear in conveying to all of your viewers that we could not jump to conclusions, that it was imperative for us to listen to the authorities, for us to, not conclude anything other than what they had said. And so I want to thank you for doing that. And I want to thank you for refocusing this conversation to where I think it ought to be, right? Which is on the money, on the resources. And there's such clear parallels to the conversation we were having earlier and to the conversation you had last week, the ongoing conversation about the underinvestment in HBCUs, right?
Yep.
And so I think it's important for us to understand the ways in which all Black institutions remain underinvested, and it's intentional. And I'm really tired of, our community always sort of being last on the, the order of funding. I think it's a call to action. It should be a call to action. I think we're going to be talking to an entrepreneur later tonight who's launched a toy business right in the Midwest. And so I think it should be a call to action even for, for us in our community to remember we got to start businesses so that we can go to Black-owned media and we can pay for advertising, because we're not just going to be able to rely on, the goodwill or good nature of those outside of our community. So I think it's important for us to remember that too. But, when it comes to this, when it comes to HBCUs, when it comes to so many other Black institutions, I'm just tired of this underinvestment. And that's me sitting here saying this for you, Roland. I cannot imagine the what you have overcome in building out your platform. And I want to just thank you for giving us this space to talk about this issue and so many other critical ones that other outlets are not covering. And it goes back to what John Quell and Mustafa were saying, which is we live in this 24-hour news cycle. We live in a culture in which collectively we all just kind of don't want to read, right? We see these snippets on social media. We hear these sound bites. The media latches onto that sensationalism. And as a community, we have come to distrust, right, the mainstream media in a lot of ways. And so we then turn to the Black media, and we have such trust in Black media. Again, same can be said about our Black institutions, HBCUs, Black doctors, right? All of these different institutions. And so, as you said, right, Black media owes it to our community to make sure that we don't cut corners when it comes to our journalistic standards. But of course, like you said, this all comes down to the money. And I'm tired of our community settling for scraps.
Well, I just, the thing for me, and I'm going to show y'all something in a second. The thing for me, Mustafa, that again, and I take this personal, is that we have to understand when we post it, people believe it. So you got to be careful reposting something that or putting your byline on and aggregating and putting it up in the Washington Post. I don't care if it's the Washington Post or the New York Times or Wall Street Journal. They can get it wrong too. And that's the point. People are trusting us. And so this is not about, oh, hey, my sources got me the information about the seller revolt, but it's a perfect example. What is being reported is wrong. The sale is not final. It's wrong. Facts matter.
As you said, we are trusted voices. We are ambassadors in many instances to our communities, and of course others are as well. And when we don't live up to the hashtag Black excellence, then we're doing a disservice to our people. We're doing a disservice to our community, and we are allowing those who would continue to try and deconstruct our communities, to dismantle our communities, and to make sure that our communities are not moving forward in a direction that is going to be helpful. We're helping them to be able to achieve their aims and their goals. So we have to check everyone. We got to double, triple check, the information, but we also got to be mindful of how we're sharing that information and how it will have impacts inside of our community. So we have a lot of work to do, and I hope that folks, as was shared before, actually start to read. I know you're tired. I know you're trying to put food on the table and keep the lights on, but we've got to make sure we're doing our own due diligence to make sure that what is being injected into our communities is something that is helpful and not something that will continue to hold us back.
Final point on this that I need to address right now. And you heard me say it earlier, that Magna Global is they having their equity or inclusion upfronts. Now, when we started this thing, this Black-owned media collective, we were very clear. We were talking Black. We were not talking everybody. But what you've seen how this thing is morphed into, oh no, it's equity, it's everyone. In fact, I'm sitting here, I'm going through emails right now, and I'm looking when we first started this, and I'm looking at emails going back to 2021 when they had their media day. And they're and so it was like, their media equity up front. 2021. Do y'all realize that it'll be 3 years? It'll be 3 years in March or May. We haven't gotten a single dime from a Magna Global client. But what I want to show y'all what happens when we focus on Black-owned and then how they try to shift it to put everybody in the same category. This is the video on Magna Global's Instagram page right now. Watch this. I hope y'all didn't miss that. Did y'all see the key thing right there? I'm gonna play it again just to make sure that y'all didn't miss it. And I'm gonna go down my panel to see if each one of them caught what I caught. So let me play this again for y'all. What did you see, Jonquil?
Well, I can tell you that it is not a Black-owned collective at all anymore, right? So they said that it started with that being the idea, and essentially it's using the word equity and inclusiveness to essentially show that it's open to all companies that need their resources. So there's no distinction between the different companies anymore. So which once was for African American publishers, right. That's no longer the case.
Gavin, what did you see?
Well, I noticed that they had a long laundry list of everyone else and then put Black last. I noticed that. I also noticed, to me, I would summarize it in one word, performative. I noticed how they had the videos and the pictures of our people scattered throughout, and performative is what I would reduce it down to. But what I noticed was that they listed a bunch of other groups and put us dead last.
Mustafa?
All you have to do is look at the beginning when they said the best black publishers. I don't know if it said Black-owned publishers. So that gave you the idea that everything you're about to see is going to be representative of folks who come from that group. What I saw was the same thing that's happened with the civil rights movement, where we do the work and then others actually are the ones who get the benefit from it.
All three of you are correct. That is exactly what I saw as well. So you say it started with Black, but then you show everybody and you got Black last. So we carry all that water. But here's the question I would love for Magna Global to answer. What is the percentage? And again, for everybody else, that's fine. All the rest of the folks that were mentioned, the other groups, that is not my concern. What I want to know, Magna Global, what is your black number? What is the percentage of your contracts that black-owned media is receiving? I don't want to talk black-targeted. I want to hear black-owned. Now, on their channel, Instagram, they have a spotlight on Urban One, black-owned media company. Used to work for them. TV One, they own Reach Media, Tom Jones' company, so they all work for them. But my problem is when I see these equity upfronts from these agencies where we spend money, go to New York, present in front of them, but what money actually comes back? I can tell everybody watching right now, everybody who's watching, in 3 years, Black Star Network has got nothing from Magna. Oh, we put together PowerPoint presentations. We participated in the equity upfront in 2021, wasn't invited in 2022, wasn't invited in 2023. My guys at Urban Edge Network, did they present? Yep, they presented last 3 years. How much they get back? Nothing. So who's actually benefiting from these equity upfronts? I need Magna Global to tell me, what's your number? Are the companies that you represent, and tomorrow's show, I'm gonna list those companies. Because here's the problem, y'all. These ad agencies are representing billions of dollars from these companies, and it's performative what they're doing. Oh, a few black people may be getting some money, and a little bit others, but no. We gotta go beyond a few. So I'm showcasing this to everybody who's watching, so y'all now understand this right here is why we can't hire staffers. This right here is why we can't hire reporters. This right here is why we don't have more producers, because we're being frozen out of this, and there is the veneer of inclusivity. How are we the equity up front? Okay. We know in the business, 80% of all, this is the last point before I gotta go to break. Y'all, 80% of all advertising money is allocated during the upfronts, which are happening right now. They happen in April, they happen in March, April, May. They're happening right now. Then they have what is called the scatter market. Or you have three. This is upfronts. You have a secondary market in September, but then you have the scatter market. You know what scatter market is? November, December. Hey, we got some money left over. Hey, can we throw something at you? Mm-hmm. Do you know where most of the money that we've gotten from ad agencies came from? Scatter. They call us, they call Urban Edge Network in November and December. Hey, what can you do for $75,000, for $100,000? Now they gave out $7 million earlier, but here's the scatter money. That's where black-owned media largely gets money, in the scatter market. We don't get the money allocated up front. So now I hope people understand, when you're like, why aren't we seeing black-owned media do this, do that? If you ain't got access to the dollars, you cannot hire the people. And so it doesn't cost me anything. You know what? And last point, last year, you know what Magna Global did? Magna Global invited Carlos Watson of Ozy to present. He was already under investigation by the feds. 2 weeks after he presented at Magna upfront, he got indicted. We weren't even invited. And our numbers are real. We now know that his numbers are fabricated. But see, what they do is they pick and choose who they want to invite. And maybe they say, oh, he too noisy, he too loud. Well, guess what? I ain't got nothing to lose. So I'm gonna stay noisy and stay loud. And Magna Global, I'm tired of sending emails. I'm tired of having fake meetings. The question is, when are we going to see business? And until we do, I'm gonna keep calling you out. And next, I'm gonna start naming all of the companies you represent, and I'm gonna show their logos. So our audience knows who we are giving our money to, who ain't sending money back to us.
Fanbase is pioneering social media and investment. This next generation social app has already raised $10 million and has just opened a new round to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
As bad as Trump was, his economy was worse, and Black America felt it the most. He cut health insurance while giving tax breaks to the wealthy and big business. He stoked racial violence, attacked voting rights, and if reelected, vowed to be a dictator and, quote, get revenge. We can't go back. As president, I put money in pockets, creating millions of new jobs, and capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. There's a lot more to do, but we can do it together. I'm Joe Biden, and I
The situation in Haiti is getting worse day by day. The country's transitional government is struggling to take shape, and the island's powerful gains continue to make advances in the capital, Port-au-Prince. Almost half of Haiti's people are struggling to feed themselves, and several areas are literally close to famine. Security is an issue. Well, retired Army Lieutenant General Russell Honore, many of us remember him for his work after Hurricane Katrina, joins us right now. General Honore, glad to have you here. You talked about that there is something that America can do to help the security of the country that is in our control. Explain that.
Yes, Roland, thanks for talking to this subject. Haiti has been ignored. Not just this administration with the wars in Gaza and Ukraine going on and the ongoing election, but the entire mainstream media has been slow to report on what's happening in Haiti. Many times I think people get Haiti fatigue because going back to, and most of us can remember back to the earthquake, Haiti has never fully recovered. For instance, the United States has had 4 different ambassadors in Haiti in the last 4 years, and currently operating with a charge d'affaires. Haiti has not been a priority of the State Department. Before it was Gaza and Ukraine, it was Afghanistan and Iraq. Haiti has never been a priority, and it shows. Look, we've been to Haiti, we've been engaged, we've invaded Haiti over more than you can count on one hand, and we still don't have a solution. We can't do something, Roland, by number one, we think the President of the United States needs to address the people of Haiti to build confidence that we're going to do it different this time. We're going to use the people of Haiti to come up with their own plan, Haiti, led by Haitians, supported by the U.S. and the other international community. That's what needs to happen. We need the President to address this himself straight up right now.
Well, and what you have is you have Republicans who are, let me know if we lost a general there. You've got Republicans out here who are trying to hype this situation, who they're out here talking about, oh, there's going to be a Haitian invasion of Florida. You've got Fox News scaring people to death, hyping this whole thing, which we all know is absolutely BS as well. And so that's really part of the issue. You talked about the need for a ambassador to Haiti. That has actually happened. Go right here to my. If you go right here to my, what's going to happen is you go to my iPad. Check this out. This was just last week. I mean, U.S. Senate confirms Biden nominee Hankins to be ambassador to Haiti, and that is Dennis Hankins, a career diplomat. And again, this is the first ambassador they've had in Haiti for 2.5 years. He was confirmed in an 89-1 vote. He previously was ambassador to Mali and Guinea. And so, but one of the things that you talked about was that the United States controls weapons for the Haitian military and police. Explain that to people who don't understand.
Yeah, you're not going to believe this, Roland, but the Congress passed a rule that they would not supply weapons to the Haitian army and the Haitian police. Nothing but pistols. That's when we tried to provide some armored vehicles last year to the Haitian government. They had to come from Canada, and the United States flew them in because we got a rule in Congress that we will not arm the Haitian army. That is ridiculous. It's was probably done after repeated coups happening in Haiti out of an emotional response. But Haiti needs an army to protect itself and to back up the police. Democracy has not worked well in Haiti. Haiti's had several opportunities to make it work, but outside influence and greed has destroyed the democratic process, and the people that suffer are the poor people of Haiti. We need a rule change in the Congress supported by the White House. This is why the president needs to come out and explain to the American people what the hell's going on in Haiti and why is it so hard to get something there, because most of the people in Haiti are reluctant of us to send the Marines in again, like they were there for almost 10 years at one time, and they had the blue hat helmet UN soldiers there for over 10 years, and nothing improved. We need a plan, Haiti. Right now, the CARICOM, the Caribbean nations, have put forth 8 or 9 people. Most of them are from one political party, the Montana Party, who was sponsored by Representative Maxine Waters and the old Aristide regime. The people of Haiti will not accept this proposed solution, and the Congress need to approve weapons going to the Haitian army and the Haitian police.
To your point,
Haitians to solve this.
To your point, go to my iPad. This was an article Jacqueline Charles, the award-winning Caribbean correspondent for the Miami Herald, wrote in September 2023. While international community is divided on the Haiti military, support for an army grows. In her article, it says there's one solution that Washington is not prepared to support: using the Haitian army. A State Department spokesperson told the Miami Herald that while the United States remains deeply concerned by the ongoing lawlessness associated with armed gangs and supports a Haitian-led solution, quote, the U.S. government is statutorily prohibited from providing assistance to the armed forces of Haiti. And so they go on to say that Haiti's modern-day military, created by U.S. Marines after 1915 American occupation, evolved into the army that became known as perpetrators of coups and some of the worst human rights abuses in the hemisphere. Now, the article says that Haiti has about 1,500 soldiers, but as you articulated, the article says they have no assault tanks, no armored vehicles, no combat helicopters, or even high-powered rifles, and lack any ability to confront gangs. While Mexico currently provides military training, the institution continues to face resistance from others in the international community, especially from the U.S. State Department. Okay, this is real simple. How in the hell can you complain about security if the folk who should be providing security can't do it? Can you hear me?
I'm not hearing Roland.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, Roland.
Yeah, what's crazy is how in the hell can we talk about security if the people who's supposed to be providing security can't provide security and the gangs are overwhelming them because they got better weapons?
Hello, this is the Western Hemisphere. We're supposed to be the boss here. We're supposed to be the boss in the Western Hemisphere. We give Israel over $10 million a day and give Egypt over $10 million a day. Most years we don't even give that much to Haiti to protect itself. We've got to change this, and it lies in the laps of the United States Congress, and we need to appeal to the president to speak to this. Just like he talked about Gaza, just like he talked about Ukraine, why in the hell the president ain't talking about Haiti?
Great point. Go to my panel, Michael.
All right, quick question here. Retired Lieutenant General Honore. I know that I read an article from the Griot.com that talked about how Democrats in Congress want to send aid to Haiti, but Republicans won't budge. Can you talk about that for a minute? And then also, Jake Sullivan announced back, April Ryan reported for thegrio.com on March 13th. Jake Sullivan announced a total of $333 million in aid will go from the U.S. to Haiti to address political and humanitarian crisis taking place. Can you talk about those, please?
Yes, we get the money appropriated for Haiti, but not executed because the government there is not prepared to execute it. The humanitarian money is being sent, but once the supplies arrive at the port, the gangs are in charge of the supply chain. So this is a combined problem of multiple scales. So we have to get the security to support the Haitian police and the Haitian army so they can open the supply routes. The gangs are controlling the majority of Port-au-Prince, and now they're going into the neighborhood because they live off of contraband. We've got to get the Congress to provide enough money to supply the army, the police, and to fund the army as the government. This is the Western Hemisphere. We give Israel over $10 million a day, and nobody say a damn thing about it every day.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, General. Look, you're a military man. First of all, look, I've never served in the military, but there's some basic stuff you know. First, you have to get control of the ground. That's first. I don't care if we're talking about your house or we're talking about a country. That requires security. Once security gets control of the ground, then leadership then can make their decisions. Otherwise, they running around scared to death because they're scared that the gangs are going to kidnap them, take them out. So the United States can talk all we want to. They can issue press releases, but you have to establish security. You just said at the supply lines. Security must take back the roads, must take back the port, must take back the the airport. This ain't rocket science. It's really military 101.
Let me tell you something, Roland. If we had one Taliban or Russian in Haiti, we would have invaded it already. America is focused on terrorists in the Middle East and from Russia. They don't give a damn about what's happening in Haiti. And it's time that the White House and the Congress change that attitude, and we provide the assets that the Haitian government, as such as it is, as well as the Army and the police, the supplies and the equipment and the training, and the CIA operatives to go in there and start taking the damn gang leaders out. That's what needs to happen.
But before I go to my next panel, this was a story that was done a couple of days ago. So General Laura Richardson, commander of the U.S. Southern Command, she said during an event at the Atlantic Council, we wouldn't discount that U.S. troops could be involved in an international effort in Haiti. Quote, we are prepared if called upon by our State Department and Department of Defense. But she added she doesn't envision a U.S.-only solution to the deteriorating situation. So what she's saying there, hey, if the United States has troops there, it's a part of an international effort, not an American invasion, if you will, of Haiti. Do you believe that that makes sense, having an international force that includes U.S. troops?
Absolutely, 100% agree with General Richardson. I know very well. She knows what she's doing. And we need people that speak the language, some form of the French language that can communicate with the Haitian people. And they need to be Haitian-led, Roland. We're going in supporting the Haitian police and the Haitian army as we would go in and do this operation. But this needs to be happening now. We need to have people on the way to Haiti now to establish security and provide food and open the chain so people can get gas and water and food and medicine and open the hospitals back in Haiti. The gangs have taken the damn hospitals out. When this happened in Gaza, everybody get all pissy about it. is happening in Haiti every day. Hospitals taken down, food being stolen and or prevented from getting to people that need it. We need that same noise to be made about Haiti.
Matt?
They're people too.
Matt?
Yes, General Honore, my question is kind of in the same vein. Is there a recent example of a circumstance where the United States sent in a security force to stabilize a region and then handed it over to the government that you can think of that would be, appropriate for an example of what we should be doing in this circumstance?
Well, let me tell you that. We've been to Haiti about 5 times and left. We're still in South Korea over 60 years. We're still in Germany over 70 years. The places that we have been successful in making peace, we're still there. We went, we didn't leave. That should have been the case in Haiti with a cooperative standing up and supporting the government of Haiti, just like we supported the governments in Iraq and to a certain point in Afghanistan. We've never done that long term in Haiti. We've always gone in with the intention of hurry up, get in, and get the hell out. Because for obvious reasons, that's not a place a lot of Americans want to hang around. But Haiti has a lot to offer. They have the capacity to fill a lot of the needs we need in terms of skilled workers, and for us to invest economically. We invested in Taiwan, we invested in China, we invested in Vietnam. We've never made a substantial investment to help the economy of Haiti. Without an economy, and this is what we end up with, is a contraband economy. We could do better than that, Roland.
Absolutely. Talik, go ahead, right ahead.
No, I would say no. Thank you, General, for your service. I think, as you mentioned before, today and forever, we must listen to Haitians. Let Haitians tell the story. Let's engage with Haitian journalists. I think it's clear to point out, as you mentioned before, there has been close to almost 400,000 people being displaced from violence. And I would like to ask you, what do you think is the need outside, in addition to the resources of the federal government stopping deportations of Haitians from the United States back to Haiti as an importance as well?
Well, one of the things we need to stop the exploitation of the Haitian workers. You know how much a person making in Haiti working in a garment factory? About $3 a day. Making shirts that sell in New York for $130 a day. And they stitch most of the baseballs that are used in the United States. That's a crying damn shame for American companies to go there and pay people, talking about a living wage. I'm talking about $3 a day, Roland, is the going living wage. It's what they pay people in Haiti. We need to change that. There are no codes. We go to Haiti and we break every damn code. We are importing weapons into Haiti and giving to the gangs. The gangs have gotten out of control because of collaboration with some of the previous governments. And if we don't watch out, Aristide is going to be in charge of Haiti again. We know what happened the last time he was in there, Haiti. Roland.
All right. General Honore, we certainly appreciate it. Hopefully the White House will take your advice, and we will certainly be posting this, and I'm quite sure they will be hearing what you had to say.
We hope to hear something this weekend from the president about Haiti.
Gotcha.
God bless Haiti.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much, sir.
Thank you.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney, and if you cannot afford an attorney,